Hey guys, Sinead again. This video, I really want to discuss, thoughts and feelings on the Cat and Mouse duet by Miss H.D. Carlton. I am going to say there will be heavy spoilers in here about the series, so if you haven't read it, don't watch the video. Unless you like spoilers, then watch it. So, book 1, Haunting Adeline, follows Adeline Riley. She is an author. She moves into her dead grandmother's big haunted mansion thing, isolated in the woods on a cliff somewhere, and she gets a stalker, Zaid Meadows. So Zaid is like a billionaire, psycho guy. He hunts paedophiles and corrupt government members for a living. He's got all these tech companies. He's like a rich bitch, pretty much. So one day, Zaid's walking past a coffee shop and he sees Adeline and he's like, no, I want her. She's my wife. She's literally my wife. So from then on, Zaid decides to stalk Miss Adeline Riley, which is, it is ironic. I'm not going to deny it. It is very ironic and hypocritical that he who, stalkers and paedophiles and all these crazy people decides to then stalk a woman. Just saying. Now, Adeline's like, fuck you, fuck no, I don't fuck with this, get the fuck out of my house. And he's like, no babes, I know you want me. I know you want me. You're just playing hard to get. So, there is a lot of non-consent dubcon, which a lot of people argue is great. I'm gonna be the first to say that I don't see it as great because you see grape in this book, Hunting, Volume 2. That is nothing like the scene in this book with the gun. There is a trigger, I don't know if it's a trigger, but it's called dubious consent, and you can 100% see the stark differences between consent in this book and consent in this book. So I don't agree with the opinion that, Zaid raped Addie at all, now that I'd read this book. That's not to say people can't have that opinion, that's fine, but don't shove it down other people's necks. So the ending of this, pretty much, Addie gets taken by, I don't know who they're called, traffickers. Addie gets taken by traffickers who basically have this beef with Zaid, and they call her the Diamond, pretty much. Go on to book 2. Now, this is completely different to this book. It's fucking heavy, I'm not gonna lie. Not just physically, mentally. There is grape, there is SA, there is abuse, there is graphic violence, graphic torture, emotional abuse. I'm just going to read the trigger warning here. One sec. I'll read these as quick as I can, because if you've read the books, you'll know. So we have graphic, grape, graphic violence, gore, torture, SA, kidnapping, psychological abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, explicit sexual situations, human trafficking, slave trade, grooming, via PTSD, and very particular kinks such as blood play, knife play, degradation, and somnophilia. I get confused on what somnophilia is because I think it's with dead people, but I can't quite remember if it is that. So those are the triggers for this book. Some do overlap with this one. However, this is more children focused because there is children trafficking in this one and children sacrifice and all that stuff. So back to Hunting. Addie essentially gets taken by the traffickers. She gets very, very violently and graphically raped and essayed and abused and all this stuff. She gets taken to a house with some other girls, and pretty much okay, so up to here is Addie in the house with the traffickers, and it's a lot. It's pretty much 300 pages of abuse. Graphic, violent, makes you want to vomit abuse. So, take that into consideration. Now, the second half of the book is pretty much about Addie's trauma, Addie's healing. There is a very, very, very emotional scene that got me, and it's where Addie absolutely has a breakdown with Zaid. And it's really about Addie finding her sexuality again and taking back her power. And Zaid does push her boundaries, but he even says in this book, he's all for pushing Addie's boundaries, but there's some stuff he's not willing to push. And that to me just speaks volumes about, the conversation on whether he raped her in this. And he pretty much he puts her in discomfort, but sometimes, you know, you've got to be out of your comfort zone to grow. And if you've got to push someone to do that, you know, and it helps them grow, then that's a good thing. But you have to know the person to know whether to do that or not. So while Addie is, you know, claiming back her confidence, her sex life, all this stuff, and dealing with her trauma, she learns self-defense. She starts going with Zaid in his field of work, obviously, and then we get introduced to Sibby, who is absolutely batshit crazy. I'm not brave enough to read her book yet, I'll be honest, but my friend has read it and she said it's like, whoa. So that's not on my list anytime soon. But yeah, so Addie, you know, goes on this whole journey. She takes back her, you know, rat, and then she starts like kick-assing people. And she pretty much just, like, manhunts the three main people who abused her the most in the house. And she pretty much finds them, tortures them, you know, fuck them up. And I respect that, as she should. I really respect that. I love a woman who gets revenge, because, as she should. Addie and Zaid decide to go after, like, the big fish, this government bitch, I forgot her name. They go after her and they're like, do you know what? We're shutting you down. We're fucking coming for you and we're shutting you down. And they basically end up shutting her down. But that's just the start of it. I am fairly certain there is going to be more books in this world with this type of issue. Because Where's Molly? Sorry, I have hair on that. Where's Molly is about another woman who was in the traffic house that Addie was in, but she actually escaped. So this is about her, how she got there, how she escaped and what she's doing now. And in the very end of this, spoiler, Zaid and Addie actually appear and they're like, listen, we've got work to do. Are you in or you're out? And they're like, yeah, fuck it, we're in. So you've got like this whole fucking team of like, who are going to fuck the government up. And I respect that because the government is corrupt. I know this isn't real, but is it? Is it? But yeah, sorry about that little outburst. Government just pisses me off. But that is the Cat and Mouse Duets by H.D. Carlton. Again, if you've read, let me know. If you haven't read, let me know why. If you've got specific opinions, you don't agree with anything I've said, that's fine. Let me know in the comments. And I'd love to have, you know, a little chat with you. But don't shove your opinion down my neck. These are my thoughts and opinions on these books. And that's fine. I shall see you again soon.